Hey, good afternoon, everybody. I am changing my PowerPoint a little bit today. Instead of talking about a particular nursing topic, I'm going to talk a little bit about studying and work-life balance for nursing students. I see a lot of you that um, are not able to find your success and having trouble with time management and personal self-care and finding some balance in life, and I think this hopefully will be helpful to you. So let's start with the obvious that I think you guys already know and I've already heard. Nursing school is extremely demanding. It requires, I believe they say 3 hours of study for every hour of class or something like that. Some mathematical equation they use. But it's demanding because most of you have families and jobs and a life that you're trying to manage in addition to school. And any school that you take is going to be demanding. And trying to balance your work and study and your personal life is essential for your success. Okay, if you can get the good balance, you can have good mental health and have academic success. So I need you to consider some things. With the new next-gen questions that have come out, and they have this current focus on critical thinking, most schools and instructors have stopped giving the traditional study guides. I am aware that there are some schools that still give them. Usually when I tell you I'm not giving you one, one of you raise your hand, well, I was at another school and I failed out of and I was getting a study guide. You might want to put those two things together and think about that. What happens is people just wait and get the study guide and only study that, and they aren't able to give a lot of concrete information from the information they learned, and a lot of times they end up failing the NCLEX and not doing well in their career, and I don't want that for you. I want you to do well. Okay. The other thing students ask me is, what chapters are on the exam? Tell me exactly which ones. And it's all the chapters. And if I say all the chapters, I can see the person just sigh and give me a look. But the truth of it is, it's all the chapters that we go over are usually covered in a question. They're usually story problem questions. So I would like to go over and show you a sample question here and talk about the different chapters that came out in the question. So let's go over the question. A nurse is caring for an 82-year-old patient admitted with a urinary tract infection, a UTI. The patient has a history of osteoporosis. They use a walker. They report increased urgency and frequency. That's where they have that you feel like you have to go and you can't go, so they're going into the bathroom frequent times. Which nursing intervention is most appropriate to reduce the patient's risk of falls? Which is the best answer? Okay. A. Place a urinal or bedside commode near the patient's bed. Well, as I analyze this question, that's a pretty good option. That may be the answer. Might be a good thing that they don't have to get up. B. Encourage the patient to drink fluids only during the day. I'm not sure if that's a good option. I think when you have a UTI, you're supposed to drink more fluids. So I'm going to take that off and cross that one off. C. Keep the patient's room dark to promote rest and sleep. Well, if I keep the room dark, that's going to be a problem with this gentleman. He's more at risk for falls if I do that. D. Instruct the patient to ambulate to the bathroom independently to maintain mobility. Again, that's going to be a problem. So I don't know what we're going to go with. We think that the answer is A, and I wanted you to note that I went through every option here before I picked an answer. I have seen students, they're just looking for a memory question that they memorize to grab and sweep up, and you can't do that with these questions. You have to do just what I did, go through every single response and see which one is the best of the four. You also can't use your job as a barometer. Well, at my job, I don't care. Nobody cares. They don't care. The people that made the test don't care. They want to know of these four answers, can you think through and pick the best response? And that is something that I need to work with you with, and also just to slow down and read everything. So here's our rationale. Rationale. It was A. The answer was A, and the rationale was older adults with a UTI often experience urinary urgency and frequency, which will increase their fall risk, especially when they rush to the bathroom. If you provide a bedside commode or a urinal, you would decrease the need to walk long distances quickly and then reduce the chance of falling. B was incorrect because the fluid restriction can worsen the UTI. Option C was incorrect because we do not want that dark room in there. We want them to be able to see, especially due to their age. Option D is unsafe because if we encourage independence without supervision, we also will increase the fall risk. Okay, any of your online programs that the schools are using now, like ATI, HESI, I think Kaplan has a program. There's several others out there. They're all going to give you practice questions like this. It is so important that you go in and do practice questions. So many times when you come to me and I say, show me what you've been doing with your practice questions, you open it and you haven't looked at them in 3 weeks. Guys, you need to have some sort of plan where you set aside some time to do 10 questions at a time. See how you do with them. It's possible you may not know the answer. And the other thing would be I would tell you to put your phone down, stop using your phone to look up an answer for everything. Really go put your brain and decide, if I only had one option with your grandpa, if this was your grandpa, what would you want me to do? That's one way to look at it. And the other option, if I only had these 4 answers, all options in the middle of the night and the world was coming to an end, which one would I do for this gentleman? Well, I'd make sure he didn't fall. Made sure that he had ability to urinate at his bedside without having to risk the falls. So you kind of got to put into some kind of perspective the question, like, what would you do in this situation? So let's talk about some time management tips that have been helpful to students in the past. Some of these I use myself. Okay, you need to create some kind of weekly schedule, specifically if you have a family. And what you need to do is to block out a specific chunk of time dedicated specifically to study time for you. Whatever time you have available. And it may be a short time, depending on where you're working and what's going on. But if you do 30 minutes at a time, you're more likely to keep the material in your brain where it needs to be. And you might have to tell your family this. I have blocked out 30 minutes tonight to work on these modules at ATI. Or whatever you're working on. When I personally, if I get behind, sometimes you guys go, you haven't looked at our homework and put the grade in. If I need to do that, I will block out a time on my remote Friday and say, and I'll tell my husband I'm going to just put my headphones on and sit here and go through everybody's homework and give them their grade and let them know how things are going so we don't fall behind on that and you know where you stand with your grade. But I have to block it out. I even have to block out dinner with my husband on Saturday. We get busy and we don't, I've gone a few days and him don't even know where he's at. He's working, I'm working, but we'll set aside a time, or breakfast on Sunday where we sit down and drink our coffee and how was your week? What's been going on? Is there anything we missed passing each other, working so busy this week? If you have children, you may have to block out specific time to spend some time with them. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. It can be just we're going to go to the park and look at the pretty fall leaves, or I'll sit and watch a movie with you and we'll eat some popcorn. And you can buy a planner, like at Target. I buy a planner from my home. My home desk has a planner I bought at Target that I keep pretty much everything in. I also keep a calendar, an old-fashioned calendar here in my office, not on my phone, but one that I have hung up, where I'll put down something. I keep, like if I schedule time with you guys or have time set aside specifically for tutoring, which I have been doing, and students have told me it was very helpful to them. I keep that on the calendar every week. That is your half hour. I dedicate that to just you. I don't put anything else in that time frame. But I have to do that because nursing, time management, and in this day and age, you get a lot going on. It's something everybody has to do, and specifically when you're in school. Okay. Number 2, prioritize important tasks. Certain things can be let go while you're in school. While I have been in school, I had laundry coming, up to my knees, even though my family was helping out. Sometimes you let something go. I won't lie to you, I was busy the past 2 days with our guests getting prepped for our new term, and there's a bunch of stuff sitting on my kitchen table. Nothing bad. It's the newspaper. My husband needed some newspaper for something, and he had a 2-liter pop there, and then I threw my books down. I was so tired last night when we got in. It was like 9. I didn't get home till almost 9 o'clock last night. Threw my stuff kind of on the table. It probably needs scrubbed off. I will block out some time, and that's not a priority to me today. Before the end of the week, I will block out about a half an hour and rid that table up and clean it off. Okay. The third thing I see students not do, you sometimes have to break a larger assignment into a smaller task. Those of you that wait till the night before to do an assignment, and then you go, well, next one I didn't turn it in, my internet was out. You need to plan ahead. Come on, guys, you're grown-ups here. If you broke your larger assignment into a smaller one and you were working on the material every day, you wouldn't have had that problem. So you need to think about that. That is just something you can do to help yourself. I want to talk a little bit about the internet, particularly the site that you all look at called TikTok. I'm not trying to be an old lady here, okay? Sometimes when I ask you to sit down and write out how many hours you studied for the test and how many hours did you do other activities, I've had some of you, not you particularly that's listening right now, but I've had several of you write down that you were 6 and 7 hours on TikTok over a weekend and only 2 hours studying. And then you're here to see me about why you aren't doing better on the test. I do not know how to get you to see this. If you were spending, and I gotta be honest, I love it when they pop up. If I look at a cat, I have a cat that's a cat that looks like she's wearing a tuxedo. Yeah, and she's black and white. She's real beautiful. So I put her picture on Facebook, and suddenly I get a bunch of videos of those kinds of cats doing funny things. And it's addictive. You click on one, and then another one pops up, and then you look at another one, and then there's a cat riding a vacuum, and it's kind of funny. And you just can just keep going and going and going. There's so many. I was shocked that someone could look at 6 hours of TikTok over a weekend, but I've been told that that's not that unusual for some people. You need to figure out where your priorities are here. You need to have more time on the studying and the home management than what you're doing on the internet. Now, I admit it, I won't lie to you. I printed some schedules to show some students how to make a planner online. I made the question for this presentation and do go on, and I looked at the weather for the weekend and looked for something for my husband and I to do for fun this weekend. But at some point, you got to sit that phone down if you want to go to school and do your schoolwork. And don't think less of me for saying that I don't, that I sound like I'm 100 years old, probably telling you that, but I have seen students, inevitably the ones who have their phone and can't put it away in class don't do well. Because you're just sitting, well, I got to, and they can't let go of it. And trust me, you are hurting yourself with your communication skills. You are not helping yourself to get through school. Do I dislike or like the phone? I like having a phone. I have an iPhone. I admit it. I've got a grocery list started in there and several things, but I don't use it all day long, and I can put it down at you can't take the phones to clinical anymore. We had problems with people breaking HIPAA and just being morons with them. And I can see where people get kind of frustrated with it. And I want you the next time you go to a restaurant to look around and see how many people are. Every table, everyone's got their phone out. Nobody's having any communication at all. I don't know how people are going to manage if they can't learn to put the phone down. I do think it's going to be a huge problem in the next 10 years for everybody in our country. So I just wanted you to kind of think about it. Sort of look around this week, find out where your best study environment is. Do you need to go to the library near your home? Do you need to come to the library here? Do you study better with a friend? Have you tried flashcards? Have you tried teaching back to your family? A lot of times they want to know what you're learning. You can maybe make a flashcard and have them hold the flashcard and you tell them a little bit about a new topic that you learned. And set yourself a goal for the week. I am going to complete this this week during this time, and start taking short breaks. And some student was doing poorly, and she came to see me. And she goes, "I studied for 8 hours straight." No, you didn't. Nobody studies for. I don't never studied for 8 hours straight. I got up and did some chores around the house. You did not. You're going to have to take short times to study. The best thing is to do where you do short term to put some information in, take a break, and come back to it. It doesn't work to tell me you did 8 hours straight because you're lying to yourself. I would say that under the self-care and well-being, I probably am guilty of not getting enough sleep and eating well. I'm going to guess that you probably do the same. And you need to make sure you're getting some sleep and trying to eat healthy. I do see some junk food sometimes in the trash cans here. I need you, and they say exercise regularly to reduce stress. I'm guessing at this point you're not going to have enough time to do exercise, but take a walk. Go take a walk around the building here. Take a walk outside. Work on practicing mindfulness, which means just to take a few short breaths and not think about anything, and reach out for support when needed. Where I'm at, I can get you some support. We have someone to call. There are other people that want to help if you need to talk to someone, if you have a mental health. If you want to talk to another student, sometimes just confide in a friend. It can be helpful to you. I don't want any, and if you don't take care of your nurses, also, once you get out into the nursing field, I see nurses not taking care of themselves. So it's just a profession that kind of promotes you not taking care of yourself. So just kind of keep it in mind. Some other tips that students have brought forward. Learn to say no if you feel overwhelmed. People asking you to do extra things, you can say no. You can set some boundaries between work and school and your personal time. You can always schedule a little bit of time for a relaxation. Like I said, if you study all day Saturday and you work a certain part of the weekend, take an hour on Sunday afternoon and take a walk with the family and go talk to the kids, sit out on the porch while it's still sunny outside and enjoy it for a few minutes and see if that helps clear your head a little bit. So just to conclude, I do think if you can get a good balance for study and work and life, it's going to take some planning on you and some discipline and some self-care. You prioritize this school goal that you have, and you will be successful.